what I can offer is opportunity for you to get into a more conscious state around the various things that are coming up for you in life and choose that consciousness over fear or doubt or worry. And when we take a look at our emotions, like we're going to do today, and we sort of put the microscope up and we get really deep and detailed about what those emotions can share with us, the messages they carry. That's one way of becoming more conscious, becoming more aware of how things are impacting us day to day and how we can navigate and move through various situations in life without causing too much trauma or drama for ourselves or for others. So we left off at disappointed, and I'll invite you to think of an example, maybe a recent example or a current example of a time where you felt disappointed, that something um, brought on that profound feeling of disappointment, whether it was in an interpersonal relationship, a project, something you saw on the news. And the message behind disappointment is the outcome or desire that you had hoped for did not live up to your expectations. And so, the very first question we can ask ourselves when disappointment comes up is first to clarify what is it that I was hoping for? What is it that I was expecting? Was it behavior from another person? Was it a gesture, a reciprocal exchange of energy? Like, what was I expecting? And was it realistic? So, taking in account the personality, the situation, all the variables surrounding this circumstance, was my expectation realistic? This is a really great example of personal responsibility and looking at a situation not just from the perspective of what does another person need to do or be in order for me to feel good, but were the expectations I was placing on this realistic for the time, place, person that's involved? And if we get to that place and we say, yes, I believe my request or my expectation is realistic, how can I make myself clear? So, again, taking that responsibility and putting it right back on ourselves to say, is there a way that I expressed this request or this expectation that maybe was vague or was a little assertive or a little bit abrupt or was indirect? You know, I think a lot of us, especially those of us in a partnership, we can sometimes think that our partners should anticipate our needs without us speaking them out. Same with our kids. I think that applies to kids as well. So, how can I make myself more clear? Really helps, look at the situation and become more constructive in how I could contribute to meeting my own needs here by clarifying my expectation or clarifying my request. And then if you start to analyze and you say, no, it actually might have been beyond that person's ability or the scope of this situation for me to expect that this is a realistic outcome. So then we can ask ourselves, how can I modify my vision or better support or train or prepare those involved so that essentially we're setting the situation and others up for success rather than putting unrealistic expectations on others and setting them up for failure. When we can thoughtfully apply the message that disappointment brings, it can actually inspire a lot of clarity and a lot of collaboration and teamwork, and can turn a very confusing or frustrating situation into an opportunity for connection, whether that be in the home or in the work setting. So whenever I feel disappointed, and it's a painful emotion, so we want to give ourselves empathy, and allow ourselves to feel, but then just pulling back, doing a little journal. Was it realistic? Can I make myself more clear? And how can I modify? Not give up on the dream, but maybe modify the dream or the expectation so that I'm setting the situation up for success. When we suppress or we ignore disappointment, what that can intensify into is a great deal of frustration, of anger, even mistrust of another person. Um, because we start to kind of tell that story in our minds, like they're never going to get it, they're never going to change, they're never going to help. You fill in the blanks. We can also experience apathy or powerlessness. But when we can step into that place of personal responsibility and ask ourselves some of these clarifying questions that disappointment can help us lead us to, it's a more empowering experience all around, and just setting the situation and the other people and ourselves up for success is what can happen when we listen to that voice of disappointment.